Hello and welcome to the To Carnivore podcast. I'm your host, Simon Lewis, and you're tuning into the Plant-Free MD series with Dr. Anthony Chafee. Dr. Chafee is a surgeon, nutritional researcher, and former pro rugby player. He's been strict carnivore for 3 years and an on and off carnivore for more than 20. Dr. Chafee looks and feels like a real-life superhero. If losing fat, building muscle, finding focus, and getting the most out of life is important to you, you're going to love the Plant-Free MD series.
Hey guys, back with the How to Carnivore podcast and YouTube series. We're with Anthony Chafee, MD again, and today's topic is fertility. Now, this is a really important one because what could be more important than bringing new life into the world? So we're going to give you advice if you're looking to get pregnant, whether you're a male or a female. And this is something that you're going to want to listen to. It's absolutely vital. So, Anthony, welcome.
Hey, thank you very much. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. All right, mate, let's get into it. How is our nutrition affecting our fertility?
Well, so, I mean, at a fundamental level, fertility is a sign of good health. Your body's not going to let you get pregnant or impregnate someone if you're in poor health, and you're not going to be able to support that baby while it's gestating, and then for the few years that it's basically feeble and needs constant protection. So
Hard facts. It might hurt people to hear that, but there you go.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's very difficult. It's a very dangerous time. And so if your body, doesn't feel that you have, if you're not healthy, you're not going to be able to do that. And if you're not getting enough nutrition, you're not going to be able to do that. And you'll all die. And that's a problem. So that's not going to perpetuate the species. And so we have developed ways of shutting down these processes if your body doesn't feel it. So women, they get their body fat percentage too low, they stop having their period. And that can be for a number of reasons. It can be for how they're going about getting their body fat percentage down, and that can also screw up their hormones and damage their health in other ways by vegan diets or starving themselves. And that really messes up your hormones. A lot of people I know in the bodybuilding community, the female bodybuilding community, they will eat in such a way that this causes a lot of hormonal disruption, and they lose their periods and they feel awful. And so that is a sign.
Is that because they've got too low a body fat, or a combination?
Not necessarily. I think it's a combination. I think the combination of they're starving, so they're trying to cut down, and they're eating basically no fat. And as we've spoken about before, cholesterol is a precursor to all of your major hormones like estrogen, progestogens, even testosterone, cortisol. Most of your major hormones are all made from cholesterol. And so if you're dieting and you're starving yourself and you're only eating plants, you're not getting cholesterol, and you're not going to be making hormones, and your body's going to be very unhealthy. So you're getting your hormonal balance right, making sure you're properly fed, having this caloric intake and this caloric, continued caloric, not excess, but having it be optimized. You're going to optimize your body and all the different sorts of systems that need to click into place for your body to say, okay, yeah, we can do this. This will be okay. Mm-hmm. So you have to do all that. And obviously, if you're eating what your body was designed to eat, namely meat and fat, then your body is going to run optimally. So that's the first step. And that's sort of everything sort of comes back to that point, but we can go through things a little more in detail. We look at this for men as well. Vegan men or men that eat a lot of plants and low meat and fat, well, they're going to screw up their testosterone. They have lower testosterone. They also have lower sperm counts, a lot lower sperm counts. And then the motility and morphology of the sperm, which are very, very important for fertility, for male fertility, are all screwed up on vegan and vegetarian diets and low meat diets and low fat diets because of a lot of different things. But one of the things is hormonal dysregulation. And so they're not going to be as healthy. They're not going to be able to conceive with a woman, even if she's very healthy. And then on the other side, if the woman's sort of doing a similar thing, she's going to be very poor off. So you have much lower conception rates in vegans and vegetarians. You have a much higher rate of miscarriage in vegans and vegetarians because they're just not getting the requisite nutritions, and they're bringing in a lot of plant poisons that are going to be harmful for that fetus as well. You have a lot more birth defects and developmental abnormalities, and this has actually caused a rash of increased levels of unwanted abortions, so miscarriages, and then actual unwanted voluntary abortions because the child is so misformed and developmentally stunted or deranged that they get cautioned that, look, this isn't ethical to continue this pregnancy because this child is just going to suffer and die if they even come to term. And so they make the very hard decision to abort the pregnancy, even though they wanted the pregnancy and they wanted to keep the pregnancy. That's a devastating thing for a family to go to. I have two personal family friends that they've had a family member that have had to do that, unfortunately, just in the last couple of years. And so that's a devastating thing to have to go through.
And we're hearing more and more about it as well.
Yeah, and these people again were trying to conceive for years, and so there's already a marker of some sort of health issue. There's a Dr. Kiltz, who's OBGYN, owns a bunch of fertility clinics throughout America, and he's saying the exact same thing. And he actually is a proponent of a carnivore diet for women's health and fertility. And he was saying as well, like this is the baseline level of health, is being able to get pregnant naturally. And if you don't have that, it means that there is a health issue. So it's not that there is a health issue. And so that's not something that's nice to hear because we don't like to feel like we're not adequate to do this, but it can be something that's very easily fixed as well.
Yeah, and so, it can be a wake up call in a way.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like if you hit with this huge hurdle, it's like, okay, well, that's the impetus to make a change.
Yeah, and so and that's the thing. I've never gone through that sort of issue, so I can only guess how physically and emotionally taxing it is to go through these processes.
I can imagine,
and be very disappointed. But I think that it's a very positive thing because it can be reversed very easily. There are a ton of women just going on a keto diet, let alone a carnivore diet, and then a carnivore diet as well, and they haven't conceived in 10 years, and now they're sort of perimenopausal, and all of a sudden they have this late pregnancy as a surprise. That's happened to a few of my friends as well. And this is something we're seeing happen all throughout, the carnivore community. People are, and the keto as well, because keto has been going on for longer. They've had more people involved in it over the last, couple of decades. And there are people that go on this ketogenic diet and they're perimenopausal, they're having infrequent periods. Then all of a sudden they get regular periods again, and their hormonal health is fixed. And then all of a sudden they're getting pregnant and they're like, what the hell? And like, and that's something that is happening because now you're healthy again. You're much more healthy than you thought you were. A couple main issues with pregnancy. I think it is the main cause of infertility is something called PCOS, Polycystic Ovarian Syndrome.
I heard a lot about this.
Yeah, so it's getting much more prevalent, which it really shouldn't. But at the same time, when you look at why this happens, there's no wonder why it is happening. Polycystic ovarian syndrome looks like there's a bunch of cysts on the ovary, but they're not. They're follicles. And when your ovary ovulates and makes this follicle, and that is supposed to drop one down, but now it's a whole bunch of them in there. But it doesn't mean that you're more fertile. It actually means you're less fertile, or something happening is deranging the process. It comes along with generally excess weight, sometimes even obesity, and hirsutism, which is inappropriate amount of hair. So they'll get facial hair, they'll get body hair in inappropriate spots. And this is because they have high androgens. So androgens being male sex hormones. And so this is a problem. That will obviously derange your ability to conceive if your hormones are very, very deranged like that. So what's happening? Well, we actually know now that what's causing PCOS, and we have all these drugs and all these sorts of treatments, but they don't actually go after the root cause. The root cause, as it turns out, is actually due to insulin. So when you eat carbohydrates, and this is why carnivore diet and even a ketogenic diet really helps with this, because when you eat carbohydrates, obviously your blood sugar goes up. Blood sugar is very toxic. This damages your body physically. And so in response, your body increases insulin. Insulin goes up, tries to get this stuff the hell out of there, but it stays up. And then we feel tired and we're like, oh, my blood sugar is low. I need to eat more carbohydrates. And so, you have to eat carbs to burn carbs, right? So you just keep eating carbs, and you just keep your insulin level up, and it just stays up. Well, the problem with that is that, women don't just produce straight estrogen. People don't realize that they produce testosterone, which then gets converted into estrogen in the ovaries, and insulin blocks that. Okay.
Wow.
So it blocks the enzyme that converts testosterone into estrogen. So these women have an abundance of testosterone and a paucity of estrogen. And so they will get this issue called polycystic ovarian syndrome. But the thing is, even if you don't get PCOS, you will still have too much testosterone, not enough estrogen. And so that's going to make it difficult to conceive for anyone, whether or not you have PCOS. Mm-hmm. But the good news is it goes away. If you just stop eating carbohydrates, because then your insulin level goes down, and now your body can convert testosterone into estrogen, and your hormones normalize, and they're going to normalize for other reasons as well, because now you're getting enough cholesterol. Now you're going to be able to make enough of these hormones. Now you're not taking in all these phytoestrogens and phytohormones and hormone chemicals that derange your hormones as well, like in soy. There's just a ton of this stuff. And so you're going to be optimizing. Your body is just going to work the way it's supposed to. And your body is designed, to procreate. That is the meaning of life biologically. I know everyone goes searching for the meaning of life. There it is. It's to procreate. And, and you could argue that from a spiritual and personal side of things as well. But biologically,
you don't need to go to Mecca. Just tune into this podcast, and Anthony Chafee will tell you right there the meaning of life.
No, but seriously though, but like biologically, the purpose of life is to procreate. That's the definition of life. It is to procreate. That's just what it is. And so you are designed to procreate, men and women. And when you aren't able to do that, that means that there's a wrench in the gears, and you need to find out where that is. Well, in this case, the wrench is carbohydrates, but the bigger wrench are plants in general, fungi, and just not eating what we're supposed to eat. That's the biggest thing.
I tell you what, it's interesting how back to front we've got it in terms of, say, food choice, because you might think that like cupcakes and sweets are a feminine food, but you're eating these things and they're blocking testosterone turning into estrogen, making you more masculine. The most feminine thing you could eat is, fatty meat.
That's true. Yeah, well, because you're going to be as healthy as you possibly can be. Your hormones are going to be as healthy as they can be, and you're going to be more of yourself. Another thing is that people have a problem with is fibroids, uterine fibroids. These physically get in the way of a baby growing there. If you have very large fibroids, you might need to get them cut out. And if you have to get too much cut out,
just quickly, what's a fibroid?
Fibroid is just it's just the muscle in the uterus that's just grown. It's a tumor, basically. It's just a benign tumor. It's not cancer, but it's just a lump that shouldn't be there. It's growing abnormally, and so it physically gets in the way. It's a physical obstruction to the purpose of that organ, which is to contain it and grow a baby. You can get pregnant with fibroids, But if they get too big, that can cause real problems. They can also bleed. This is a leading cause of anemia and inter-period bleeding and postmenopausal bleeding in women is fibroids, because they're not normal tissue, and so they can just start bleeding and just leaking blood, and they can be very uncomfortable as well. Being more pregnancies is associated with less uterine fibroids, and in the literature they'll say it protects against uterine fibroids. I don't really know about that. I think that you're not. Again, it's association, it's not causation. You can't say which direction it's going. I think it's more likely that being metabolically healthy has allowed you to get pregnant more often and have more kids, and at the same time you're not going to be growing a bunch of fibroids because you're metabolically healthy. Because again, these fibroids, it's just like some of the muscle cells in your uterus have just decided just to go a bit haywire, and they start growing abnormally. But again, this is a symptom of metabolic ill health, because this is again stimulated by too high of insulin. And so you can actually help reverse your uterine fibroids by going on a ketogenic diet, or better yet, a carnivore diet. And so that's another thing that people don't realize that can seriously help their fertility and just their overall health. Uterine fibroids can be quite difficult to live with. But there's something you can do. You don't have to get major surgery. You
or
don't
go on
have
medication.
Hysterectomy. Because some of these people need hysterectomies or cutting these out, and then trying to patch the uterus back together. If people are past menopause, they just take the whole thing out. They're just like, oh, just get it out of there. Which isn't ideal. It's risky, and it can, anyone can die from surgery, even simple surgeries, and that's not a simple surgery. That's a major surgery, and you don't need to. So these things are signs of something going wrong in your health, and specifically with hyperinsulinemia. Hyperinsulinemia is a common theme in metabolic health and just overall health. This seems to be a driver of many, many, many diseases, such as high blood pressure. This doesn't allow the vessels in your arteries to expand. It keeps them tight, and then so this will increase your blood pressure, and you have to take a bunch of medications for this. It also damages your ability to convert testosterone to estrogen in women. And so you can get PCOS or just hormonal imbalance, and then fibroids as well. So this all comes back again to just eating an optimal diet for your body and for your species. And that will give you optimal health. And one of the major signs of being in good health is being able to conceive naturally.
Awesome. All right. That was epic. I really think people are going to get a lot out of that. And it's, as you kind of alluded to it, I think it should be comforting for people, as opposed to, nothing could be more devastating than not being able to fall pregnant. But if it's kind of like the canary in the coal mine, and then you can improve your health for the long term and then fall pregnant, that's a net benefit to me. So, I really appreciate you sharing that, and I think that's going to be really powerful.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, and I agree with you. Yeah, this is sort of the ground floor of overall health is being able to conceive. And so if you're having difficulty conceiving, there could be a problem, and then you should see your doctor about. But this should be the first thing to address is getting on proper nutrition, getting on a proper human diet, on what's biologically appropriate, species-specific diet, which is a high-fat carnivore diet. And once you do that, your body will optimize. And there are a lot of people that are discovering carnivore or even keto because of the insulin issues that we talked about. That's a major one, but carnivore is going to be even better. And all of these people are now finding that they're easily conceiving, even when they're not expecting themselves to, or maybe even planning to. And that's an indication that their overall health is much, much better, and they're going to have a lot better hormonal health. And this ties into health, women's health throughout their life, and their hormonal health developing through puberty. We can get pretty deranged, guys and girls, when we're going through puberty, of just these hormones just raging through you, and you get a bit messed up from that. But this can normalize you. This can normalize your periods. This can normalize you psychologically as well. You don't get as depressed and deranged and upset, guys and girls. And as going through menopause, this is going to optimize your hormones throughout your adult life. And then through menopause, you're going to have a much easier transition, and your hormones are again going to be optimized after that. And so even though you're not making estrogen and progesterone in the same amounts that you used to, they're going to be much better than they would otherwise. And so you find that a lot of people don't feel they even need to do hormonal replacement therapy, which can be very beneficial to a lot of people. They can feel much better for that, men and women. But I always caution people, or at least advise them, when they're in this category, they want to try out HRT, and they're also amenable to a carnivore diet. Try the carnivore diet first, do it for like 3 months, and then just see where your hormones balance out and see how you feel. And if you're like me and you just feel great anyway, and your hormones are fine, well, then you're fine. You don't need to add anything. But if you feel, you're going to feel a lot better anyway. But if you feel great, but your hormone levels are lower than what would be optimal, and you feel like there's something missing, you can try that and you can see how it goes. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. There's really no literature to suggest that going on HRT to physiological levels is something that's harmful, because you've been at physiological levels presumably your entire life, at least in the early adulthood, when things were as healthy as they're going to get, and you didn't have these problems. Sometimes people think that you can have these growth factors going for decades longer than they normally do, and this can increase cancer rates, and there's some evidence to suggest that, but there's a lot of other evidence to suggest that no, it absolutely does not, if you stay within physiological levels. But your body's going to be hormonally optimized and primed even throughout menopause and beyond, and you are going to feel a lot better than you would otherwise. And then on top of that, if you need something else, then you can do that. Or if you've optimized your nutrition, you've optimized your health that way, but you're still having issues conceiving, seeing a doctor, seeing a fertility specialist that can isolate what exactly is going on, is going to be great, because you've eliminated a lot of possible issues. And now you can really focus in on like, okay, what is like the one or two things that are still going to cause the problem even when you've optimized your health. And so this is going to set you up for very good health. And
start with carnivore. That's you got nothing.
Start with a carnivore, yeah, exactly. And then you'll set the stage for optimal health and the ability to conceive and bear the healthiest children that the world has really seen in a long time, because no one's doing carnivore pregnancies or rearing except a few people, and their kids are doing phenomenally well, and they are going to be the genetic leaders of the future, because they're just going to have developed to such a greater degree. They're going to actually optimize and grow and develop to their genetic potential, which is so much better than all the rest of us have developed to. And they're going to be taller, healthier, stronger, and more intelligent, much more intelligent, bigger brains, better bodies. They're going to be the ancient Greek, Platonic form of this scholar athlete is, that's extremely athletic and very intelligent. And
who doesn't want that?
Yeah, well, I would hope they would want that for their kids, if not themselves anyway.
All right, Anthony, thank you so much. That was fantastic.
No problem.
Chat to you soon, mate.
Bye, buddy.